those who've been stuck with a credit card balance may wonder if they should use the savings in the 401k plan to clear up the debt. Credit cards, after all, come with high interest rates. Now, many of you have a 401k, and some of you have credit card debt. Now, here's the thing. You want to have a healthy view of debt. And credit card debt is bad. You want to avoid it like the plague. There is a recent article by CNBC called "Should You Use a 401k to Pay Off Credit Card Debt?" My answer would be a healthy no. Those with persistent credit card balances may be tempted to dig into their retirement savings to pay off debt. There are a number of ways to do so, all that come with a cost. The average charge for credit card debt is 16% a year. So I want to be careful. Avoid credit card debt like the plague. If you are financially irresponsible, and it's okay to admit that. I have one client, she'll remain nameless. She's worth like $2 million. She's worth a lot of money compared to most people. She worked really hard and she paid off all of her credit card debt. But for her, credit cards were always like a tough spot. So she had to go back on the envelope method because, when she had the credit card, she just overspent. So sometimes people just overspend and they should never have a credit card. Maybe that's you. May I recommend the envelope method? Do you know that method, Ernesto?
I use the envelope method in QuickBooks.
Very good. Does it work? Now, to be fair, I think the envelope method in the old school way works better than the QuickBooks way, just because it's very hard to part with cash. So have you found the QuickBooks method working for you?
I have. The reason is because it comes off your balance. So once it's moved into the envelope, the total amount that you see is the amount minus your envelope.
Well, that's very good. So QuickBooks now have the envelope method. That's
psychologically, you don't think you have the money anymore, which is good.
Yeah. I mean, I do. I don't do it, but I think from people that I've heard, it is one of the best things for people to do, whether an electronic envelope method or the real thing where you actually get the cash, and once the cash is gone from that envelope, you eat pork and beans and rice. When it's gone from your food budget, you make do. A lot of food waste, in people's budgets. So there are 3 ways you can get money out of a 401k to pay off credit card debt, all of which I don't agree with. Find other ways to save. Cut your cell phone bill. Cut your cable. Get a library card. It's free. Cut Netflix. Do all these things so that you don't have to tap your 401k. Brown bag your lunch. Brew your own coffee. Now, there are 3 ways you could get out of debt with a 401k, but then you'll have no savings. And will life be really fun with no savings? Borrowing from the account so you can take a withdrawal, which is taxable. You can borrow, or you can stop your contributions to your 401k for a period of time and redirect that money to your plastic addiction. That's probably the best of the 3 options of how to get money and redivert money, because you're not paying taxes. Like when you pull money out of a 401k and you have 10% penalties, you have 30% state and federal income tax, you might be having a 16% credit card, but you're paying the government 30% to access your money from your 401k. So I'm a big fan of letting your 401k grow and being creative about getting out of credit card debt. Your tax dollars go to a library. You don't need Netflix. You don't need Disney Plus. You don't need, you don't need Starbucks. You may need coffee. I knew somebody that made really good Folgers coffee.
We need to find this person. I don't believe you.
I really did. She's a friend of ours. She made Folgers taste magical. It's a lot of cream and some stevia. Oh, it was so good. No, it was really like an iced kind of coffee drink at Starbucks or Dunkin'. It really didn't taste much different than the sweet kind of drinks. She made it taste really good. The Folgers crystals. She goes. I remember Folgers when we were growing up. Folgers was like luxury. We didn't do Folgers. We did the cheapo ShopRite Folgers knockoff. Do you remember that?
I don't.
So we were so poor growing up. Folgers was like Starbucks. I don't know. What did your family do for coffee growing up?
We're Filipino. We take coffee very seriously.
So
we did have Folgers in the can for sure. The blue. I remember the blue tin can. Yep.
Isn't the blue Maxwell's?
Is it?
Red
I guess that's. Yeah, I'm sorry. That's what we had.
And the yellow was chock full of nuts.
And we had to have the Entenmann's cake, which is no longer. Yeah. I don't see them anymore.
You know, Entenmann's. What do you mean? The coffee cake?
Yeah. Yep.
And you know what I liked? I liked the Entenmann's cookies. I tried them lately. They're not the same. They taste gross. Now, either my tastes have gone up or inflation has affected Entenmann's. I would say inflation's affected Entenmann's because then they got bought by somebody. They're not as good as they used to be. No, not all Entenmann's, Entenmann's, hey, if you want to send somebody to interview, be a fun. You've screwed up Entenmann's, Wonder Bread, Were they owned by Wonder? They're all owned by like a lot of the same, like Bimbo Bakeries owns like a ton of bread. You can check it out. So here's the thing. I do not want you taking money out of your 401k to pay for credit cards. Now you may want to stop your 401k contribution to pay down your debt if there is no other way, but I'd rather you live like a pauper for 6 months, a year. Then you'll be really proud of yourself. And then you'll have your 50, 100 grand saved in your 401k too. Any questions on that, Ernesto?
It's tough. Live like a pauper and...
Then you'll live like a king later on.
Yeah.
Remember back in the day, I had all my family and friends would make fun of me for how I lived like a pauper in my 20s. I had this Hyundai Excel that my brother gave me. The car was so bad he didn't want it anymore, and no one would buy it from him. That's how bad this car was. It was like the first ever Hyundai Excel. And the bumper scraped the highway. And we'd have to tie it together, the muffler, we'd have to tie it with a wire hanger. But it worked, It was my first car. I was very proud of it. I thought I was cool. I had like a sunroof. No, I didn't really think I was cool. But I was made fun of for my car. I remember our first house my wife and I bought. We started making money, started saving. People were like, oh, why don't you get a nicer house? Oh, why don't you get a nicer house? Because I was like, I want to save up a sizable amount of money. And one of the ways I became financially independent about like 28, 27, something like that, was we lived like a pauper in our 20s. And we didn't graduate to a new car. We didn't graduate to, but I thank God for the Honda Civic. I thank God, but before the Honda Civic, there was the Hyundai Excel. And that car enabled me to afford the Honda Civic, which at that time was a lot for me, because I bought a brand new one or a year-old one. But that car, Honda Civic, coupled with the really cheap first house, was very critical, because when I started making more than 20 to 30 grand, we just banked everything else. So just lived on this, and we bank like 60 grand a year. And it's doable, folks. You can do it if you want, but you got to live like a pauper for a little bit. So we'll take a short break and we'll be back with our next segment, which is we're going to be talking a little bit more about the 401k loan. If you want, you get to ask us any question in the chat box. And we're going to be talking about 401ks and the mega backdoor Roth. Also a solo 401k, which is a powerful thing that a lot of you aren't taking advantage of, that we'll talk about next. This is Josh Jelinski, the financial quarterback, inviting you to join me for a 45-minute free Zoom strategy session with me or one of our fantastic team members at 888-988-JOSH. We'll go over any of your financial questions at no charge. 888-988-JOSH. 888-988-5674.
The preceding program was sponsored by the Jelinski Advisory Group.
Any awards, rankings, or recognition by unaffiliated third parties or publications, including 5-Star Wealth Manager, Advisory of the Year finalist by Senior Market Advisor, and Top of the $1 Million Roundtable, are in no way indicative of the advisor's future performance or any individual client's investment success. No award, ranking, or recognition should be construed as a current or past endorsement of Josh Jelinski or Wealth Quarterback LLC. Information regarding specific awards, rankings, or recognitions is available on the Wealth Quarterback website at www.jelinski.org. All investment strategies have the potential for profit or loss. Investment strategies such as asset allocation, diversification, or rebalancing do not assure or guarantee better performance and cannot eliminate the risk of investment losses. There are no guarantees that a portfolio employing these or any other strategy will outperform a portfolio that does not engage in such strategies. This broadcast should not be construed by any client or prospective client as a solicitation to effect or attempt to effect transactions in securities or the rendering of personalized investment advice. Due to various factors, including changing market conditions, the information discussed in this broadcast may no longer be reflective of current positions or recommendations. While information presented is believed to be factual and up to date, Josh Jelinski and Wealth Quarterback do not guarantee its accuracy, and it should not be regarded as a complete analysis of the subjects discussed. The tax and estate planning information discussed is general in nature, is provided for informational purposes only, and should not be construed as legal or tax advice. Listeners should consult an attorney or tax professional regarding their specific legal or tax situation.
Advisory services offered through Wealth Quarterback LLC.